I like
Order.
it. Hell, I love it. I'm sitting here. I'm just itching. I'm itching to do it again.
What's up, YouTube? I'm back with my review for Captain America: Brave New World, and I must say you are being lied to about this movie. Okay, it is clear as day. This movie is better than some of the worst MCU movie. Is absolutely crazy. Okay, the amount of people that have been complaining every day about the things this movie did wrong. Oh my God, it's not the most groundbreaking Marvel movie. It's ridiculous. All right, this movie is very solid. All right, and it's like it's not the best movie in the world, no, but it's like way better than the bottom tier of the MCU. If anyone could tell you with a straight face, this is better than the Marvels, Eternals, the first Captain America movie, Thor: The Dark World. If anyone tells you those movies are better than this movie, they're lying. They're completely lying. And it's like the action is solid, the performance is solid. Now, I do have gripes with certain characters and certain things that they do, but the amount of complaints that I have seen about this movie has been ridiculous. This obscure character that you knew nothing about until someone pointed it out to you is actually this character in the movie who just died off. Are you upset now, even though you never knew this character even existed until I brought it up to you at this moment? Let me complain about how this movie is bad. One of the critiques I've seen about this movie is the end credit scene isn't good. Are we serious here? What's going on? What's going on? And I want to be completely honest, open and honest, whatever. I looked forward to this movie. I was hyped for this movie. I wanted to see Sam Wilson done justice, and he was done justice in this movie. They give it to you over and over again how he deserves to be Captain America. And for people who are complaining, oh my God, he doesn't have the super soldier serum, they addressed that in the movie too. It's like, what are we doing here? I will get into spoilers late into the review, but as of now, it's like, what else did you want from this movie? This movie was very solid for what it was. Of course, there were some issues that I had. There was some problems. It does suffer from the fact that if you don't watch the Disney Plus show, you don't know some of the characters, but even still, they explain it to you well, where it's like, okay, you get the gist of it. And there was some things that even I wasn't expecting to see in this movie that happened. I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And it's so fun to see people sit there and say, this is the bottom tier of the MCU. This is the worst thing to ever grace the film, when you have literally Thor: The Dark World, Thor 1, and you have Captain America: The First Avenger, which everyone thought earlier. It's so funny, the revisionist history, which I dropped the whole show about. The revisionist history is like, it's so funny how people are saying, oh my God, Captain America's First Avenger was so good at it when it came out. No, it was not. People ragged on that movie for years, saying how it doesn't stand on its own without the MCU. It's not a good solo film. It's not good. It's one of the weaker films in the MCU. It's a movie you could basically skip over. It's like people were complaining about that movie for years. Now all of a sudden it actually was pretty good because it's part of the Infinity Saga. It's the same thing I said earlier, where let's say Avengers Doomsday, let's say Avengers Secret Wars or whatever it's called drops, and it's actually good. People are going to look back on these films about, well, these movies wasn't that bad. It's like, what are we doing here? It's so funny seeing people complain on the internet, and it's like funny because people who don't have the MCU is bad nerd goggles on 24/7 are like, oh, this movie is pretty solid. It's not the best in the world. I'm not saying Anthony Mackie should get an Oscar for his performance. I'm not saying Harrison Ford should get an Oscar for his performance and how it should be studied for years to come. But for a solid MCU movie, I enjoyed it. For my price, for my ticket, I enjoyed it, okay? I might go see it again because I did enjoy it. The action scenes were kind of fire. Like, if we're being honest, my one complaint was like, I'm afraid that Sam Wilson will be dumbed down for this movie because he doesn't have the super soldier serum. I'm afraid that outside of his suit, he won't be pretty much of a threat. They addressed that in the movie too, and he was whooping ass. He was going crazy. Like, I know he studied, throwing this shit, but he was throwing shit. I was like, yo, okay, get in your bag, brother. get in your bag, okay? It was crazy. This might be a little bit of spoiler. You might want to skip ahead a little bit. The whole fight with I think his name was Sidewinder, Giancarlo Esposito, when he was outside of when he got ambushed or whatever, when he was whooping ass, when he had a knife and an axe in his belly, he's still whooping ass. I was like, oh, this is my Captain America right here. He was holding it down, okay? I respect it, all right? This is what I needed. This is what I wanted, okay? He even did the Captain America thing where he runs up, drops kicks him, and threw the dude off the truck onto another ship, like, boom. I was like, okay. And he was talking about me without the suit is I'm a little bit more dangerous without it. I was like, ugh. I'm misconstruing words. I just just saw it, but it's like that shit. He had some cold one-liners like, "Oh, I got shit to do." I was like, okay, Sam was talking this shit. He doesn't have the "I can do this all day" because that was Steve. He's his own man. He's not gonna copy what Steve do. He's not trying to be Steve Rogers. So it's like when he really gets into his bag a little bit, he gets into his fucking bag, and he's slinging the shield and stuff like that. It's funny because like, he's throwing the shield. It's so cool. It's so far how it's like ricocheting off of shit and all this shit like that. It's so cool compared to like what Steve is doing. Because it's funny because when Steve throws a shield, you're gonna be eating juice for like the rest of your life. When Sam does it, you're getting knocked the fuck out. It's still like it doesn't damage, but it's just funny going back to see Civil War and he's hitting the shield so hard that it's going into solid cement and shit like that. It's like, yo, he's murdering people. He's definitely murdering people with this goddamn shield. Sam is just beating your ass. Okay, he's breaking limbs. He had a little bit of Batman in him, breaking limbs and shit, but it was funny. It was cool. It was cool. The action was pretty solid, and we're not even gonna get into the Celestial talk. That's a little bit in itself. This might just be the spoiler section, okay? When he was riding the missile like a surfboard, I was like, this is my Captain America. This is my Cap here. What are we talking about? Steve can't do this. Steve can't do this. All right, he was holding his own. He was whooping ass, bro. He had to listen. When Sam locked in, he locked it the fuck in, and I respect it. That's what I love. That's what I love about Sam Wilson, okay? He was in his fucking bag, all right? And that's what I needed the brother to do, okay? I was so happy. I was sitting there with a smile on my face. I told my mom to see this because she loves comic book films. She's the reason I even got into this comic book shit. Took me to see Iron Man and stuff like that when I was little when it came out. Her getting hyped to see like, ooh, I was like, oh, I'm telling you, my boy Sam, my boy locked in. That's Captain America right there. That's Cap. What do you mean? I can see him leading a group of people, okay? And it's so cool seeing, you know, the whole things and stuff like that, and seeing him develop and talk to people. How like Sam is so different from Steve, because Steve is more like a, you know, a goody two shoes to some degree, and he'll like, you know, he'll go against the government obviously, but like the way Sam talks to people and his empathy for people, it really shows throughout this movie. And it's like, I understand, I get it now. It's like, I understand why when you get done with this movie, you understand why Steve chose him to be Captain America, because the way he handles situations. And I don't think if Bucky was in this situation, he would be able to handle it this way, obviously because it's a film, but it makes sense, you know. Once again, going back to the action was fucking stellar in this movie. The way the film was shot was actually very good. It was like, not say, oh, well, movie's supposed to be shot well. No shit, Sherlock. But I like the style of it, how like it's like certain, especially with certain characters. This is going into spoiler territories, by the way. So this is now spoilers, heavy spoilers. I'm just gonna start yapping about, you know, shit in the film. I already gave a lot of spoiler earlier, but this is just like, if you don't want anything spoiled at all, this is the point for where you can stop the video where it will ruin your experience. So certain shots when like they're in the like leader's base and stuff like that, where like after he kills one of the guards and like you see his dead body at the ground and you see the leader talking on the phone, but you only see his eyes because he's in the shadow, was such a cold shot. I'm like, yo, like the way the leader looked, I like the way it looked, how he looked all fucked up and like you see his brain all weird. I know people complaining how like the leader doesn't look comic accurate, but the way he got his powers and the fact that after the events of Incredible Hulk, how like they kept experimenting on him, what Ross was, and adding on the gamma radiation made him more and more fucked up, like, you know, similar to Abomination, stuff like that. I like that a little bit. I like the way it fits the tone of the movie, because like, other than him having a big ass head, what else do you know about the leader? He is green, you know what I mean? But I like this almost horror-like villain. Like when he showed up to one of the people's houses before he killed them, he looked at, like, it was so fucking creepy where you're sitting there, like he's on the phone, he's talking or whatever, and he's talking to Thunderbolt Ross, and I love that how he's trying to get him to turn to the Hulk and like, you could destroy everyone here, you could destroy the whole thing. I love that. I really like the plot of this film. I like the whole mystery, the trying to figure out who's behind this, who's making all these things happen, and then when you hear the music, it gives you that eerie feeling of like, oh my god, what's gonna happen now? Because it's like, oh boy, it's just like a horror film basically. When you hear that song, something happen, like it's got like, it reminds me, this is like over exaggeration, but only to get the point across. It reminds me of when Michael Myers shows up. It's like, hear the do 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 do. It's like when you hear the little jingle, it's like fuck. It's like everybody has to lock in. Everybody has to lock in. What the fuck is happening now? That made me feel well. I love it. I love the shot of this film where And then before the big reveal of what he looked like, how like he was in like he was talking to Sam, and you only could see like one of his eyes glowing because the other one's like glossy and fucked up. So it's like this one glowing eye just following him over. I was like, ugh, that was cold, man. That shit was fire. I mean, honest with you, this was a very, like, I'm not gonna sit here and say this is the best MCU movie that ever been made, but this is a very solid film. I'll put it like in like the middle tier, you know what I mean, of MCU film, where like if it's on, I'm putting it on. It's like it feels like this is gonna be one of my, like, how like Winter Soldier always used to play, and like even when you don't want to watch Winter Soldier, you're just gonna let it rock because it's just a solid film. You can just play. I feel like Captain America's gonna be one of these where it's like when the action's on, it's gonna grab someone's attention. Like, oh, what movie is this? And shit like that. When you want to watch the movie and stuff like that. So I thought this movie was very good. If I had to rate it out of 10, I give it an 8 out of 10. I give it a very good, like a B plus. You know. It didn't break ground. It wasn't the biggest thing. It wasn't outside. It's funny because when people were bitching where it was like the movies are connected to something that we don't know what's happening, you know what I mean? When they had Easter eggs and stuff like that. But when you have a self-contained, solid story, people were still complaining where it's like, well, I want to know the futures of the MCU through this movie. It's like, what do you want? What do you want for real? But those are my thoughts. If you've seen the movie, let me know what y'all think. I'll be in the comments down below. And I'm out. Peace.